Hello everyone, welcome back to the Solo Raid Guide series. Today's video will cover Brelshaza. It will cover all gates 1 through 4, so I do hope this video is proven to be useful. If it is, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the guide. Before we get into the guide itself, I want to remind everyone that every character in your roster will now be able to equip 5 engravings for free. This is permanent for the entirety of Tier 3. This is great for those that want to play alt characters that were not properly built in the past. Just make sure you obtain some accessories that have the correct combat stat for the build you are playing. You can head on over to LostArk.Nexus website for class build guides to make sure your character is built properly. The Solo Mode Raid shop gives a variety of goodies. You can buy honing books and honing materials every week from the shop, in addition to level 6 and level 7 gems that do not expire and cost no silver to reroll. When you enter a raid solo, the game will allow you to select a special buff that lasts throughout the fight. This buff can be changed once you restart the raid or in between gate 1, 2, etc. For this solo raid guide, I will only go over major gimmicks and mechanics. If you want to check out the group guide of this fight, I will leave a link below. The battle items you want to bring along will be Dark Grenade and Time Stop Potion. Throughout the fight, you will see tiles on the ground that have lightning on them. If you step on these tiles for a brief moment, the tile will turn back to normal, but shoot out blue telegraphs in a cross pattern. If the boss attacks were to hit a lightning tile, it will turn back to normal but shoot out orange telegraphs diagonally. The first major mechanic happens at 85 HP lines or below. The boss will jump in the air and land in the middle of the map. You will see a tile glowing at top, bottom, left, or right side of the map. Go to any tile that is glowing and stand on it. Wait for the boss to slam his weapon on the ground, then the mechanic will finish. The last major mechanic happens at 45 HP lines or below. The boss will jump in the air and land in the middle of the map. You will need to use the Azena Satorial when the boss jumps in the air. You will need to counter the boss 3 times in total. Every time you counter the boss, your cooldowns will reset. There is a small window between each counter. Follow the boss movements and always stay at its front side. When he lifts his hammer up, he will glow blue. That is when you will use your counter skill. You can fail up to 2 times, with each fail dealing a lot of damage. But on the 3rd failure, you will die. And that will be it for Gate 1, simple and straightforward with only 2 major mechanics. Gate 2 is a bit of a step up in difficulty, but the major mechanics are still easy to understand. In this fight, there is a special counter interaction. After every 5 attacks that the boss performs, she will always follow up with a counter attack. This will be shown by a buff below her HP bar. When it gets to 5 stacks, she will teleport away and perform a counter. There are only 4 different kinds of counterattacks that she can perform. I will showcase them on screen now. In addition, there are 2 special attacks she will perform periodically throughout the fight. The first one is called Maze. She will move to the middle and your abilities will be locked. The boss will quite literally spawn a maze on the map. If you come into contact with the walls, you will get slightly knocked back. You need to traverse through the maze and go to the golden circle somewhere on the edge of the map. You can look at your minimap to see where the golden circle is located when the attack starts. While traversing through the maze, the boss will perform red telegraphs that do a ton of damage. The red telegraphs will start from the middle then move outwards. You will not get hit by these telegraphs if you make it to the edge of the map in time. If you do not go to the golden circle, but instead any other safe spot at the edge of the map, you will be mind controlled for a few seconds. The second special attack she can perform is called Guiding Shapes. She will move to the middle of the map and the screen will darken. 2 shapes will spawn around her. You need to guide the correct shape to the boss that matches what she is showing. If you walk close to the shape, it will start to follow you. Simply wrap this shape around the boss so that the shape touches her. If you guide the incorrect shape, or do not guide the shape to the boss in time, she will perform a series of attacks that do a lot of damage. If this occurs, you should time stop after the first attack. If you guide the correct shape to the boss, 4 safe spots will spawn around her. Pick a spot to stand in until you get a yellow shield. Then you can move towards the boss and dish out damage. The first major mechanic happens at 145 HP lines or below. The boss will move to the middle of the map, and you will see a bunch of meteors on the map. Stepping on a meteor will trigger a quick typing test. Even though a bunch of meteors will spawn, you will only need to go to one of them. It does not matter which one. The first meteor to spawn will always be at 1 o'clock. You will need to do the typing test by stepping on a meteor, then quickly go to the boss and complete the stagger check. The second major mechanic happens at 100 HP lines or below. The boss will move to the middle, and you will need to complete the stagger check on the boss. A Medusa eye will spawn that will rotate around the boss after every attack. There are two kinds of eyes that will spawn, a circle eye and a snake eye. The circle eye means you need to look at the eye while performing stagger on the boss. The snake eye means you need to look away from the eye while performing stagger on the boss. If it's a snake eye, simply stand in between the eye and the boss while performing stagger on the boss. If you happen to not look in the proper direction, you will take considerable damage that will stack. You can decide to use the Way Satriel to finish the stagger check and quickly end the mechanic. The next major mechanic happens at 42 HP lines or below. The boss will move to the middle of the map, and you will see a snake eye in the middle of the map. After a moment, an NPC will spawn near the middle. Multiple shapes will spawn on the map. It will either be square or diamond. The square will spawn somewhat near the middle, and diamond will spawn near the edge. You only need to kill two of whichever shape spawned. What happens after you kill them is very important. If you kill diamond, you need to move away from the NPC that is in the middle. If you kill square, you need to be next to the NPC that's in the middle. Afterwards, wait for the boss to slam the ground, then the mechanic will finish. The last major mechanic happens at 0 HP lines. The boss will show a red or blue circle around her. You will need to stand on one of the circles until they go away. Afterwards, you will see larger blue or red circles on the map. You need to stand on each circle until it goes away. Every time you do this, the boss will gain a stack. If you stand on all four, it will end the mechanic and complete the fight. If you do not stand on all four, she will spawn a black hole that will kill you. However, you can use Time Stop Potion when the black hole expands to prevent this. She will regain some HP, and you need to get her down to 0 to end the fight. Gate 3 is a lot more complex than Gate 2, but only in terms of normal attacks and gimmicks. The mechanics themselves are quite easy to understand, and all of them involve a stagger check. You could decide to bring Whirlwind Grenade instead of Dark Grenade if you like. In Gate 3, you will notice that the map is a large circle. If you step outside, you will gain a debuff that lasts 4 minutes and will stack. Every stack will increase the damage you take. If you happen to get 8 stacks of this debuff, you will die. Only the Anana Satriel can cleanse these stacks. Since the boss performs attacks that can knock you outside the map, you need to be mindful of this debuff and abuse your Time Stop Potion if needed to prevent gaining stacks. The boss itself has 3 different phases, and each phase is a bit different in terms of normal attacks and mechanics. We call these phases red, blue, and yellow. I'm going to explain each special attack that can occur in each phase, then explain the mechanics. In the red phase, the color of the boss will be red. This special attack will happen when you get a yellow tether attached to your character. After a moment, the tether will go away. 3 projectiles will fly in slowly from the outside and move towards the boss. The projectiles will spawn in whatever position you were at when the tether disappeared. You need to collect these projectiles. If you do not collect them, the boss will gain a special buff that can stack. Every stack will increase the damage he deals to you. At 5 stacks, it will be a wipe. In the blue phase, the color of the boss will be blue. This special attack will happen whenever there is a large icon beneath your character. This means that fire will drop underneath your feet momentarily. You want to bring this to the edge of the map. Once the square telegraph is shown beneath your feet, you will want to move away. If you happen to step into this fire, the boss will gain a special buff that can stack. Every stack will increase the damage he deals to you. At 5 stacks, it will be a wipe. In the yellow phase, the color of the boss will be yellow. This special attack is permanent throughout this phase. Half of the map will be cut in half by a purple wall. If you simply walk through the wall, you will be stunned for a few seconds and the boss will gain the same buff I discussed earlier. You can move through this wall by using your spacebar. This will prevent the stun effect and prevent the boss from gaining a stack. The stackable buff that the boss obtains from one of these special attacks can only be cleansed by using the Anana Satriel. If the boss is close to 5 stacks, you should use the Anana Satriel so that it can be cleansed. As with every raid in the game, major mechanics happen at certain HP lines. However, in Gate 3, the color you start with is RNG, and the color he switches to next is RNG. Switching to a different color happens at certain HP lines. I will explain the major mechanics for red, blue, and yellow phase. Then I will discuss what HP line they can occur at. In addition, I will discuss the HP lines for the color phase change. For the red major mechanic, the boss will show a large aura around him, and a yellow circle will be shown in front of him. You need to walk inside this circle. After a moment of being inside the circle, your abilities and battle items will be locked. Then he will fire a laser at you that hardly does any damage. Afterwards, you will move outside the circle and complete the stagger check on the boss. When you complete the stagger check, you will see an object on the ground somewhere near the boss. You need to pick this up and go back inside that yellow circle. You will repeat this one more time, then the mechanic will end. For the blue major mechanic, you will see two squares on the map. Both of them have a stagger bar. Pick a square to go to and complete the stagger check. When you complete the stagger check, a yellow aura will come from the square. Make sure you are next to the square when you complete the stagger check. If you are nowhere near the square when you complete the stagger check, you will die. After a few moments, you have to finish a quick typing test. Then the boss will attempt to fire a laser at you. You need to avoid this laser at all costs, otherwise you will die. For the yellow major mechanic, two balls will spawn on the map, opposite sides from each other. You need to quickly walk up to one of the balls and kill it. Then you need to stand close to the boss, but in direct line of sight of the ball you just killed. A small yellow ball will spawn in the same location of the ball you just destroyed. The yellow ball will quickly move towards the boss. You need to intercept it while being close to the boss. If you intercept it, a yellow aura will spawn on the ground. You need to complete the stagger check on the boss while standing inside this yellow aura. The yellow aura gives you a buff, which allows you to deal sufficient stagger to the boss. Without this yellow aura, you will not be able to complete the stagger check. As you may notice, every major mechanic in this gate involves a stagger check. Even the special star phase, which I will discuss in a moment. The HP lines that the major mechanics will occur at will be 170, 120, and 55. The boss will switch color phase at 160, 135, 65, and 40. At 95 and 20 HP lines, the boss will switch to the star phase. Within this phase, you have to deplete the purple stagger bar shown under the boss HP line in time. You will see a dial around the boss. This dial represents the amount of time you have. You can also look under the HP bar of the boss. This buff has a timer which tells you how long you have to deplete the purple stagger bar. During this phase, he will perform attacks that are designed to knock you back. You have two choices for Sadriel here. You can use the Way Sadriel, which does a ton of stagger, or you can use the Anana Sadriel so that you can prevent taken damage and prevent knockback. During Anana Sadriel, you can simply stand still and spam all of your abilities on the boss. If the boss has multiple stacks of the buff I discussed earlier, you should use Anana and finish the stagger check. Gate 4 major mechanics are not too complex, but the special gimmick in this fight may throw some people off. I will explain the gimmick momentarily. In addition, you can get knocked off the map, similar to vaults in Gate 2. The first major mechanic happens at 222 HP lines or below. Tornadoes will spawn on the map that will go across the map. You will also obtain a special debuff with 3 stacks when this mechanic occurs. Every time you get hit by a tornado, the stack will decrease. Your goal for this mechanic is to dodge the tornadoes and try not to get hit 3 times. If you do this successfully, you will be teleported to a separate dimension when a debuff expires. You will see an orb somewhere on the map. You will need to kill this orb as quickly as you can, as you do not have a lot of time. If you do not kill the orb in time, a black hole will spawn momentarily. This black hole will hinder your movement speed if you are near it. If this occurs, try to lure the boss away from the black hole so that you can fight without any restrictions. The next major mechanic happens at 212 HP lines or below. The boss will move to the middle of the map, and you will be moved to a separate dimension. Before this mechanic starts, stand behind the boss on the edge of the tile that the boss teleported to, which is in the middle. When you get sent to this dimension, a ton of orbs will fly around you, attempting to knock you back a little. These orbs don't do a lot of damage, but you can prevent any of them hitting you by standing at this location that is being showcased on screen now. After a few moments, 2 rows of tiles will be telegraphed, with 1 row of tiles being safe. You will need to go to the safe tiles. If you do not go to the safe tile in time, you will die. You will have to do this 3 times in total, and you will need to memorize the location of the safe spots for the next part of this mechanic. The easiest way to do this is to type the clock position of the safe spots in chat once you have gone to the 3 safe spots. It is best to use the cross positions as your safe spots to memorize, which will be 11, 1, 7, and 5 o'clock. If the center tile is safe, that is considered 0 for clock position. For example, in this clip, the second safe spot was the bottom row of tiles, which would be 6, 7, or 9 o'clock. But I'm only going to memorize 7 as the safe spot because it is one of the cross positions. It is easier to do it this way because of travel distance, and it is what people will do in a group scenario. After going to the 3 safe spots, the boss will send you back to the outside and she will fire a ton of projectiles in random directions. Try your best to dodge. In a moment, she is going to perform the exact same series of attacks she did on the inside a moment ago. You will need to go to the 3 safe spots that were shown on the inside. If you go to the incorrect spot, you will die. The next major mechanic happens at 188 HP lines or below. The boss will move to the middle and a cutscene will occur. When she moves to the middle, pre-position yourself at the top of the map. Your character can move during this cutscene as well. After the cutscene, the boss will spawn a yellow meteor beneath your feet. You will need to go to the very top of the map and wait for the icon beneath your feet to go away. Once it goes away, you need to quickly go to the middle of the map to avoid dying. The yellow meteor is going to destroy 3 tiles at the top of the map, which are 11, 12, and 1 o'clock tiles. This will end the mechanic, and the special gimmick will now commence throughout the rest of the fight. I will discuss this gimmick now. Every tile on the map except the middle tile has 3 HP. The middle tile has 14 HP. The boss will only spawn 2 kinds of meteors beneath your feet, blue or yellow. When you drop a blue meteor on a tile, it will reduce that tile HP by 1. This means it takes 3 blue meteors to destroy a tile. The yellow meteor has a large AoE radius and will destroy the tile it is dropped on and surrounding tiles. When a tile is destroyed, it takes roughly 1 minute and 10 seconds to regenerate. If 4 tiles are destroyed, it will be a raid wipe. From the moment the yellow meteor spawned, blue meteors will start spawning beneath your feet every minute. Since the 3 tiles at the top are destroyed after the 188 mechanic, you should drop your first and second blue meteor at 5, 6, or 7 o'clock. Avoid dropping blue meteors at 3 or 9 o'clock. A few seconds after the second blue meteor beneath your feet spawns, Brelshaza will spawn 3 blue meteors at 11, 1, 5, or 7 o'clock, which completely destroys that tile. Then about a minute afterwards, you will get the yellow meteor again. You will always take the yellow meteor to the edge of 12 o'clock or 6 o'clock. It depends on which tile Brelshaza broke. As an example, if the boss broke the 7 or 5 o'clock tile, when you get the yellow meteor, you need to drop it at the bottom edge of 6 o'clock, then go back to the middle of the map to avoid dying by gravity. If the boss broke the 11 or 1 o'clock tile, when you get the yellow meteor, you need to drop it at the top edge of 12 o'clock, then go back to the middle of the map to avoid dying by gravity. The idea of this gimmick is tile management. You do not want 4 tiles to be broken on the map, otherwise it will be a wipe. In addition, when Brelshaza breaks a random tile, try not to fight the boss on the other side of the map. This is because when you get the yellow meteor, you have about 5 seconds until it drops. The next major mechanic happens at 112 HP lines or below. The boss will move to the middle of the map. You should also move to the middle of the map and stand at 7 o'clock of the middle tile. A cutscene will occur. After this cutscene, a piece of telegraph will be shown twice with multiple safe spots. You will need to stand in the safe spot both times. In addition, you will see a yellow circle that will continue to get smaller. Afterwards, she will try to slam the middle tile. When the circle stops moving, you are free to move out to avoid her slam. You should move to the edge of a tile. I recommend the right tile, which is 3 o'clock. After she slams the ground, you need to use the Shandy Sidereal. This sidereal will slow down time. In a moment, you will see red and yellow balls flying in from the outside. You need to avoid getting hit by the red balls. If you get hit by them 3 times, you will die. Your goal is to collect 2 yellow balls. In addition, you may see a black orb in the middle of your tile. For the purpose of solo mode, you can ignore this black orb entirely. Make sure you do not stand too close to it. After a few moments of collecting 2 yellow balls, the boss will teleport you to a separate dimension. In this dimension, you will see clones of Brelshaza on every tile except the middle. The middle tile has a black hole with yellow orbs shooting out. These yellow orbs do moderate damage, so try to avoid them. You need to walk through each clone of Brelshaza at each tile until you find a clone that rotates clockwise or counterclockwise. When you find that clone, stand on that tile facing inside. In a brief moment, the clone will either show a stagger bar or the clone will glow blue that you will need to counter. When you counter or stagger the clone, it will drop 2 yellow orbs on the ground. You only need to pick up one of them. This yellow orb will give you a shield which prevents you from dying when the mechanic ends. The mechanic is basically finished once you find a clone that rotates and do stagger or counter. After a few moments, you'll be teleported back outside. As a reminder, the meteor gimmick discussed earlier will still continue until the last major mechanic. The next major mechanic happens at 65 HP lines or below. This is the same as the 222 mechanic. Tornadoes will spawn that you should dodge. You will get a debuff with 3 stacks. Do not get hit by the tornado 3 times, otherwise the debuff will fall off. You need this debuff to expire naturally. Once it expires, you will be teleported to a separate dimension. You will need to find the orb and kill it. If you do not kill the orb in time, or you get hit by 3 tornadoes, which causes the debuff to go away, a black hole will eventually spawn that can hinder movement speed. This will be problematic, as the black hole stays around for quite some time. And if you get a blue meteor beneath your feet, you may have difficulty going to the tile you want. The next major mechanic happens at 32 HP lines or below. This is identical to the 212 mechanic. The boss will move to the middle of the map, and you will be moved to a separate dimension. Before this mechanic starts, stand behind the boss on the edge of the tile. When you get sent to this dimension, a ton of orbs will fly around you, attempting to knock you back a little. These orbs don't do much damage, but you can prevent any of them hitting you by standing on the edge of the tile directly behind the boss. After a few moments, 2 rows of tiles will be telegraphed, with 1 row of tiles being safe. You will need to go to the safe tiles. If you do not go to the safe tile in time, you will die. You will do this 3 times in total, and you will need to memorize the location of the safe spots for the next part of this mechanic. The difference with this version of the mechanic is that your movement will be inverted. This means if you click top, your character will move bottom. So you need to click in the opposite direction of where you want to go. Tiles may also be destroyed during this mechanic. If the inverted movement is causing you some trouble, you can use the Anana Sadriel. This will normalize your movement. The last major mechanic happens at 25 HP lines or below. A dialog box will be shown and the boss will move to the middle of the map. Brelshaza will destroy the top, bottom, left, and right tile. These tiles will regenerate after some time. The meteor gimmick will no longer occur, and you will need to burn the boss down to 0 HP to finish the fight. And that will conclude the Brelshaza solo raid guide. I will try my best to release solo mode guides of other raids as soon as I can. If you're a new or returning player, I highly suggest you complete the Legion raids in order starting from Vulcan. As stated at the start of the video, if you enjoyed this guide, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. This is all I have for now. I will see everyone in the next video. Peace.